There was one time that my father looked at me and he said, "Mark, I'm so proud. I'm so proud that I made you a magician."
Okay, can you go around the other side so we can see, because you're covering on this side?
At 3, I was interested in magic. My father said, "Let's go for it." At 4, I started being able to do magic. At 5, I had a show. At 6, I was getting paid for the show. This is when my father realized that this wasn't going to be a passing fad, that I was going to be a magician. How do I say this? I was a problem as a child, running around the classroom with scissors, trying to cut my classmates' hair. The magic was something that I was good at, and that was something that I had to give. So I was never good at sports, and I was never good in class, and I wasn't a good student. But this thing is when people tell me that I'm doing a good job. When I started showing interests of wanting to be an artist or in comedy, I think my father really latched onto that. He was very hard on me. After a show, that's when I felt like I had done the best, but my father would always meet me with something I could have done better. You showed the trick here and that half of the audience saw it. When you said this joke, it was too late, so this half of the audience didn't hear it, and I was just waiting for, "You're good enough and we're proud of you." I do remember a lot of laughs with my father. My dad taught me plenty of magic tricks. He started building props. He was a carpenter, so he could make these beautiful, elaborate tricks that I could use in my show. And then there's all the other ways I felt about him, which is fear. I felt very afraid of my dad because he was not just intense, bordering abusive, very explosive, and in a moment's notice, like something would be wrong and I wouldn't understand what I had done. If I'm being honest, there was moments where I just wanted this to stop somehow. I wanted to be in another household, or I wanted him to not exist, or, make him disappear. So yeah, things came to a point where I didn't care to see him anymore, and I made that clear, and I think that was the right thing to do at that time. I started to go after things that I really wanted. I booked my first show in New York City at Caroline's on Broadway, then started working at House of Yes a lot. This is an amazing, historic, famous New York venue, which totally changed my life. I toured in China, in Qatar, and Singapore.
I can't believe this is my job. It's my job to be here right now.
Set a world record when I was 18 for the longest amount of time in a straitjacket to raise money for Parkinson's research for the Michael J. Fox Foundation, which he supported.
We raised $15,000 so far, but there's still $10,000 more to raise for our goal.
I would say I'm not thinking about my father as I'm doing each of these things. But it's become clear to me now that the first person I would call after one of these things would happen would be my dad. The first time I performed at the Magic Castle and getting to call him and tell him about that, and the first time shooting Penn and Teller's TV show. And then I have a flight to go to Costa Rica with my partner, and my mother called me the day before, and I answered the phone, and she said, "Did your dad tell you yet?" I said, "No." She said, "He has esophageal cancer." I got back from Costa Rica and I drove to see him in person, and that first time was horrifying because he looked very different already, weak and sick. We have our differences, and I want to punish him. This is too much. I don't want this. This is not punishing anymore. This is very real and scary. It progressed very quickly in a matter of 4 months, and I decided that I would be there and I wouldn't care what happened. He drove me to all my shows. It's my turn to show up for him. I'm gonna drive whenever he needs me. I'm gonna push him around in the wheelchair from session to session. And, brutal. That's tough. Picturing the monster for so long becoming weak, and then you're like, okay, hold on everyone. We can sort through this now, like this is not what I wished, this is not what I wanted. My dad and I spent more time together in the last 4 months of his life than the 7 years prior. It was just an unspoken being together that was probably all either of us ever wanted the whole time. I was performing on a cruise ship, and my father went into intensive care. I was telling my company manager I might need to leave the ship because my father's very sick and I would hate to not, be there in case anything happens. And they asked me to extend an extra week. And so I FaceTimed with my dad from the hospital. And I still have this letter of all the good things and all the bad things that I need to send, so we sort everything out and have everything tied up with a nice little bow in case anything bad happens. And we're having this conversation, and I say, they're asking me to stay an extra week. And he just said, and this is when it got emotional between us. He said, I just want you to stay out there and continue doing what you love. That's what's most important to me. And Mark, I'm proud of you, and I love you. And I went, I love you too. And this was the last time we spoke, and he knew it would be as soon as he said that. And as soon as he said it, didn't need to send the letter, didn't need to have any further conversation, because that was it. That was enough. We cremated my father. He went into an ornate magic box as his final resting place. When I did the finale of Canada's Got Talent, I actually brought the magic box with my father in it to the hotel room, and so he was there. In some way, I'm sure he watched me coming forth, which he probably would have notes about. In my mind, I picture my father at a lot of shows, always shouting out because he needed to be the center of attention. So he's like kind of inadvertently heckling me by saying like a tag to a joke or trying to help me. And in my mind, it's the most annoying thing in the world. Every time I would do a show, my father's in the front row. But then you realize every time I do a show, my father's in the front row. If you had told me when I was 17 that, one day your father won't be with you and you're going to hold on to all these little mementos that you have of him.
Can't take that much pressure.
I hated these props. And I finally didn't have to pretend that I would ever do them, Something happened and I realized these are my dad. Like, this is what I have of him. He is literally, if I keep performing this thing, he's literally on stage with me. And so I cling to these objects now.